Well, hello. This is episode, 71 of the Tori Franco show. And in this episode, I asked y'all to send me some questions for the podcast on Instagram. And some of y'all sent me some questions. Obviously, I can't answer, but some of them were pretty good, and I think I can make an episode out of it. So, the first question is from Stephanie 1989 _. She asks, would you ever go out with one of your followers? It depends. It depends on a vibe, right? So if it's listen, if it's one of my followers that is, how do I say this without being a douche, without sounding like a douche? One of my followers that treats me like a normal human being, not like somebody on some sort of pedestal, and the vibe was right, then sure, right? If the attraction was there and the vibe was right, sure. But I don't know if y'all know this about me, but I have severe trust issues. I've befriended people who were followers first, and I've gotten countlessly fucked over by people. So it would be very hard. I'm going to say that. It would be extremely difficult for me to get to the point to want to date a follower. I'd be very skeptical. I'm not even going to. I'd rather somebody who has no idea who the fuck I am. What do I love most? Andrea Wetzel writes, what do I love most about being a life coach, and what made me want to be a personal life coach? There's a story behind this, and I love telling it because it's a good indicator of like just trusting the process, right? So I was in a depression last year, dealing with the losses of friendships and like getting my heart broken and whatever. And in order to try to really push through that, whenever I get into that mode, I try to learn something new. Like I drank my feelings too. Y'all know, if you've been on this journey with me, like I've had negative, not good coping mechanisms to deal with certain things. And I'm trying to break the cycles and the habits. And I'm doing fairly well. So I took up tarot reading, and I became obsessed with tarot. I mean, if you're watching on video, I'm looking to my left. It's because I have two big bookshelves. One that is just tarot cards, and the collection is growing. So like, I'm a tarot reader, a tarot collector. I got into I've always been into spirituality, but I really was like, okay, I'm going to level up. I'm going to really learn as much as I can and like, dive into this, And so I did. And I started going, my best friend, Jamie, introduced me to this shop, the Amityville Apothecary. They've now been on the podcast, and spoiler alert, we're going to be starting a podcast together. I'm going to be helping them with their podcast and be on their podcast. So stay tuned for that. That's really exciting. Not that this isn't, but this is more intimate and me talking to y'all. But anyway, so my friend Jamie, a little over a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago now, was sending me TikToks of the Amityville Apothecary, and she was like, I fucking love them. I've been there. It's a great shop. You should go check it out, Tori. Like, I know you're into all that stuff. I'm like, all right, cool. One day I was bored. I needed something to do. I went to the Amityville Apothecary, and I introduced myself, and we just started bullshitting. One thing about me is I have a lot of confidence issues, but one thing about me is I will always make connections with people. I know how to do that. That is my superpower. I know how to walk into a room and make myself known in that room. And so I went, and casually, naturally, I wasn't trying to befriend anybody, but like, I knew I wanted to be friends with them, if that makes sense. And so I met Dina, and I was like, my name's Tori, I have a TikTok, I have a podcast. You guys should be on it for sure. And we became friends. And so I met Bella, who, again, was on the podcast last year. And me and Bella became friends. And Bella's very intuitive, and she's very psychic, and she's tuned the fuck in. And my mother went into the apothecary one day, because one thing about me is if I go, I'm going to introduce, and I love it, I'm going to introduce it to every single person that I know and love. And that's, you know, it was just natural how much I enjoyed going to the apothecary, and just hanging out there and the products that they have, whatever. So my mother was in there one day, was talking to Bella. And at that point, Bella knew that was my mother. And she's like, Tori, she goes, Deb, you need to tell Tori to get life coaching certified. And at the time, I had never heard of that. My mother came home and she's like, Bella says you should look into life coaching. I'm like, all right, I'll look into it. But like, it wasn't even on my radar. And then I Googled it. I'm like, what the fuck is a life coach? Like, what do they do? And I was like, oh, this is right up my alley, you know, helping people and coaching people through their shit, you know? And so I found a class, and it was a 6-month class to take to get certified. And I took the plunge. I sat on it for maybe 2 months, really considering, okay, is this something I want to do while in school? But I took the plunge, and I became a certified life coach. Now, am I life coaching anybody at the moment? No, I'm not right now. So I can't really say what I love about it, because I would say what I love about it is the same thing I love about getting on here and talking to you guys. It's giving insights and tools and resources to help other people on their journey. And so what I want to do with my life coaching business is the same thing that I want to do with this podcast. It's really just help people on their spiritual self-development journeys, help them with anxiety, help them with confidence issues, help them with boundary issues, self-love issues. That's my shit right there. So how does it feel doing this, knowing that even if one person listens, or even if one person signs up for a coaching session or a coaching package for 4 weeks, whatever it is, and I can help that one person, that's the most fulfilling thing. It's the whole reason why, I don't know if I told you guys this, but I graduate next year in May with my bachelor's. I'm going right into a master's of social work program, and I'm becoming a social worker. And my goal is to become a licensed clinical social worker, aka a therapist, because that is my life's call. That is my heart's call, and I know that, and it's always been that. And so I'll incorporate tarot, I'll incorporate life coaching, and I will incorporate my social work skills and my counseling skills into all of it, so that I can just help people, because that's it. So I know that was a long answer, but it was needed. Stephanie Marie 8831 asks, if I could travel anywhere, where would it be? Probably Barcelona, Spain. I mean, Italy, of course, I'm Italian, but I would definitely want to travel to Spain. Stephanie Marie also asks, one person dead or alive, who would you want to sit on a bench and chat with? If I could talk to one person, dead or alive, who would I talk to? That's such a good question. That I'm gonna have to come back to that. Ooh, this is a good one. Raina Sandoval asked, if you could, where would you like to travel to do humanitarian work? I would definitely want to travel to Africa, for sure. As a tourist, I want to see Egypt. I want to see the pyramids, but I would go somewhere in Africa and help out there. I would also love to go to South America. One of the countries out in South America and help out there as well. Tiffany Lipsky asked, what's the first thing you notice in people when you meet someone for the first time? Their vibe. I can feel the vibe from a mile away. I am, especially now that I'm, meditating every day and I'm very in touch with my intuition and my emotions, and it's only getting stronger. I can really, really hone in on if the person's vibe and my vibe mesh. If they don't, I automatically don't feel okay. There's something off. I want to leave. I don't want to stay. When you get around somebody who has like a magnetic energy about them, right? When you're with them, you're not wondering or worrying about, or maybe there are certain people like that. You're not worrying about what's going on the outside. You're not wanting to go home. I can't wait to be in my bed. Sometimes you are, obviously, if you're with best friends and you're like, oh, I'm so tired. I can't wait to get to my bed. Duh. But like on site, when you see this person, you're like, oh, I gotta go home. You know what I mean? The first thing I notice about a person, and I can read people like a fucking book. My issue has always, and I've always been able to read people and their intentions, right? But my issue is I always give people the benefit of the doubt. That's what I'm working on. It's not my intuition that has ever really been off. I know deep within what this person is all about. I just choose to ignore it. I'm learning, though, not to ignore it anymore. Edgar Casey, by the way, is the person that I would sit down with and have a conversation with, dead or alive. Edgar Casey. If you don't know about him, Edgar Casey was, he's almost like the father of like metaphysics, basically. Let's Google Edgar Casey. I've read a couple of his books. Edgar Casey, he died in 1944, was an American clairvoyant who claimed to channel his higher self while asleep in trance-like states. His words were recorded by his friend Al Lane, his wife Gertrude Evans, and later by his secretary Gladys Davis Turner. During the sessions, Casey would answer questions on a variety of subjects like healing, reincarnation, dreams, the afterlife, past life. He's like the father of New Age spirituality. But not really, because if you think about the occult and all of that, you have people such as oh my God, A.E. Waite. Is it Arthur Edward Waite, which is the creator of the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. Rider being the publisher, Waite being him, the one who thought up the concepts, and Pamela Coleman Smith, who was the illustrator of the original artwork of the tarot decks. He was an occultist who, knew a lot of shit. I'm not going to go into it because Edgar Casey is the guy that I would talk to. Then you have the creator of the Thoth deck, the Thoth system. There are different systems in tarot, by the way. I don't know if anybody understands that or knows that. I'm sure if you're a reader or you're into tarot like that, then you know that. But the layperson probably doesn't. There are different systems. There's the RWS, Rider-Waite-Smith, which is Arthur Edward Waite and Pamela Coleman Smith. And then there's the Thoth. There's Lenormand. And then there is Tarot de Marseille. These are different systems that you can use. All of them, tarot being the umbrella. So the creator of the Thoth system is, oh my God, what's his fucking name? He's controversial. Aleister Crowley. I wouldn't talk to either of them. I would still talk to Edgar Casey. Although they are very interesting people, Edgar Casey is definitely somebody that I would love to sit down with and talk to. Ask him like the questions. I don't know why he's thought of as the father of New Age spirituality, but whatever. So anyway, getting back to Tiffany's question about the vibes, I fuck with a vibe. I don't fuck with a vibe. It's a gift and a curse, really, because I know immediately if you are somebody I want to connect with. And then even when I connect with you, if you're down to earth and stuff like that, as we go along, I know immediately what your intentions are. And I know immediately what you're all about. I'm very observant in that way, but I don't always follow it. And so I end up still getting my ass handed to me. Cassie_Jean_Stevens asks, love languages versus zodiac signs. Which one is most important? Love languages, for sure. I am very into astrology. I think it is so fascinating. I think, oh my God, if you have not yet downloaded The Pattern, you absolutely should. CoStar is great if you're like a surface person, but if you want to go deeper into like this shit will tell you exactly what's coming up in your life. Like, you don't even need a psychic or a tarot reading. And this is me saying, like, I sell tarot readings and tarot coaching sessions. You don't even need that when you have the pattern. The pattern is like, oh, you have 6 months of this cycle coming up, and this is what to expect in the next 6 months of your life. This is probably the theme that's going to be happening. Like, the pattern is such a good app, and it's free. I would download it. This is not sponsored. I think zodiacs are very interesting. Astrology is so interesting on a holistic level. But would I look at somebody and think, oof, you're an Aquarius? No, we're not gonna jive. No, it's good to understand somebody's zodiacs, you know, and I don't even like their signs, like their astrological chart. It's good to understand somebody's astrological chart just to get a vibe of like why they are the way that they are and what they can work on and this and that. But you can't help who you fall in love with. You can't help who you have a deep ass connection with. Astrology, I think, has something to do with that. Like, I've met many people and I've put those people's birthdays into my pattern app, and they explained our relationship to a fucking T, and the person to a T, and me in the relationship to a T. So our astrological charts definitely have something to do with it, but it's not end all be all. I didn't look at that person and say, oh, you're a Sagittarius? Come here, baby. Like, I looked at that person and was like, Sagittarius. And never dealt with one of those before, but really digging this vibe. Cool. Like, you know what I mean? So, it's that. And then once you fall in love with somebody, I think learning their love language is so fucking important. Because you could vibe with them on an astrological level, and you can vibe with somebody on a deep soulmate level even. But if you don't know their love language and you don't know how they speak or receive love, if they don't know their own love language, y'all got a problem. Y'all got a serious fucking problem. So I have the book, The 5 Love Languages. Good book. I don't even think I finished it, but from what I got so far, it's a good book. I think love languages trumps astrology for sure. Fight me on it. If anybody has a debate on that, any astrologers out there want to fight me. And some astrologers might even say, like, your zodiac and your astrological chart will determine what your love language is. Like my Venus is in Leo, which is how I love and the things that I love. So I love beauty. I love anything that is beautiful to me, because beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? But also it's a testament to why my love language is words of affirmation and physical touch, because my Venus is in Leo. So like a Capricorn probably wouldn't, there, like if your Venus is in Capricorn, your love language probably isn't words of affirmation or physical touch. Maybe that's important on the list, but it might not be your number one. Your number one might be acts of service if you're a Capricorn. Like, you know what I mean? So I think it all kind of ties in, really. Let's see. Trisha Ellis, 13, asks, what do I find most attractive in a female? Confidence, authenticity, compassion, goofiness. I like a goofy girl. I like a girl who is not afraid to be authentically herself in the most goofy ass way possible. I like having fun. I like free spirits. I love people who are fun to be around. Nobody wants a fucking stick in the mud, right? But also like somebody who's confident enough taking care of her own stuff. So, you know what's so fucking sexy that I've come to really in my old age and like having my heart broken a couple times? Somebody who owns up to their own shit. Like a woman who is not afraid to admit when she's wrong, and be met with me, who's not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. I think that's so fucking sexy, taking accountability for your actions. And taking accountability for your actions enough to go seek out therapy. When a woman comes to me and says, yeah, I'm in therapy, it's not scary to me. It's like, to me, a woman who is in therapy it tells me she's brave enough and authentic enough to say, okay, I have issues in this area, and I know that I need to go work them out. So I'm gonna go this way and do that for myself. I like independence in women, but also somebody who genuinely wants to be around me and spend time with me, and is a straight shooter, man. I've had too many like people trying to beat around a fucking bush, and like I've chopped that bush down. So what I find, obviously I find physical attributes attractive too. So what do I find attractive physically? I've tended, I'm not going to say what I prefer, because I know the way that I fall in love is not by looks. It's by the vibe and the connection, right? But what attracts me initially to a woman has tended to be brown hair, brown or hazel eyes, caramel complected, scrumptious, exotic looking, Latina looking, but like Italian women. I've been with Portuguese women, a Portuguese woman. I like the darker looks, like the exotic almond shaped eyes, big ass. I definitely have a type. I don't care what, physically, I don't care what a woman has up here, like chest area. She got a big ass, we riding. She ain't got an ass, that doesn't really matter to me, to be honest. Like, I'm not one of those like, oh, if you don't have an ass, move it along. Like, no, if I vibe with you, I vibe with you. But I've tended to, it's literally not one girl that I've been with, maybe one, but everybody else that I've been with has had like a nice bubble butt to go along with her beautiful eyes and face. Like, I like a beautiful face. And she could be a little thick too. Like that doesn't matter to me, you know? As long as, like, I don't know, there's something about the eyes. The eyes for me physically are what really attract me. Like there's something about a woman with like really sexy, mysterious eyes. Wow, I'm just going off on a tangent right now. So yeah. Francesca Cracchiolo asks, where do you see yourself in 5 years from now? I only wish you, thank you, Francesca. Where do I see myself in 5 years? I see myself graduated from my master's program. I see myself working toward, probably in 5 years. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out the timeline. Oh fuck, my phone's going off. Hold on one second. In 5 years, so I'll be graduated in less than a year for my bachelor's. Then I'm going into a 2-year program after that. So that's 3 years. In 5 years, I see myself as a licensed clinical social worker with a private practice, outside either an office or like my home somewhere. I don't plan on staying here, like home with Deb. I love her to death, but I don't plan on doing that. If I move up into the apartment upstairs and rent from Deb, then I'll probably open up, like, I'll try to like get my private practice going, maybe get a business loan or something. I don't know. And like work out of, like, make an office outside my house. Actually, I don't know if I would want people coming to the house. I'm like literally working this out live. The moral of the story is I see myself as a practicing licensed clinical social worker, probably working part-time in some sort of hospital setting or something like that, like with people, but then also owning my own practice outside of that and being my own boss. I also see myself still doing tarot. I see myself doing tarot full time, whether that's incorporating tarot into my private practice. For anybody who wants, I wouldn't push it on anybody. I also see myself doing public speaking and really building my following and doing the podcasting still, and so hopefully growing in that way as well. I have a lot of goals. Sarah Petrassi, my girl, asks, let's talk reincarnation. What would you love to come back as? You know what? It's so funny. I don't really think about it too much. Like, do I believe in reincarnation? Yes. But I feel like, I know this is a fun question. I'm going to be deep and philosophical right now. But I feel like there's only one life right now, and it's the one I'm in. Even though I know that I've had previous lives, and I know that I will have probably many more, maybe not many more, but, a good amount more. I only want to focus on this life because this is where I'm at right now. When I think of who or what I would want to come back as in a next life, I think to myself, well, why can't you become that in this life, right? So like in my next life, I want to come back as, let's say, a famous therapist who travels the world public speaking. Well, why can't I do that in this life? Like, that's what I'm working toward. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. I haven't really given it any thought. That's my answer. Chia_Mel asks, what was your coming out experience like? It was seamless. I kind of had, I always had support. I lucked out a lot. I had a friend that came out as bisexual. And when he came out, I was like, wait, me too. And so we both came out on the same fucking day. And like to all of our friends and stuff like that, the friend circle. I was 13 years old. Nobody gave a shit. And then I want to say 3 years later, when I was 16, 3 years later, when I was 16, the way that my mother found out was I was coming out to one of my friends, my best friends. Like, I had kept it from her for 3 years that I was interested in girls. And so I was on AIM, like that's how we would communicate. And I was letting her know that I had met, like at the time I had met my first girlfriend, and I knew that like me and my girlfriend were going to be girlfriends. And things were getting, as serious as they could be at 16 years old. And, well, actually, I was 16 and my girlfriend at the time was 20. She was 4 or 5 years older than me. She was actually turning 21, I think. No, she had just turned 20. So she was 4 years older than me. And I was telling her about the girl that I had met, I met this girl and, I really like her and I still like guys. I never liked guys, but, that was how you came out back then. You said you were bi first to kind of like give the lube, and then like you shove it right in and be like, just kidding, I'm gay. So I was coming out to her on AIM and I went to sleep. It was the summer. And I went, or like maybe September, and I went to sleep. I left the conversation open, and we used to share a computer. And my mother went on to like, check her email or something like that. And she found the conversation and read it. And that was basically how I came out to her. I never had to look at my mother in the face and say, Mom, I'm gay. She found out. When I woke up the next day, she called me from her job and she was like, hey, I found a conversation of you talking about you met a girl and this and that. And, I just want to let you know, like, I love you no matter what. And I just don't want to see it. She was like, I just don't want to, I'm not ready to see it yet. But, like, I love you no matter what and whatever. And I was like, cool. Like, it was pretty seamless. And then my mother told every single person in my family. Like, I never had to come out to my dad, ever. My mother told my dad, my mother told my aunts, and then word just traveled, and it was just like, okay, yeah, Tori's gay. Like, I never had to have that conversation. I feel lucky about it. I don't feel like anything was taken from me in that respect. I feel lucky that it didn't have to be that big thing where you sit somebody down and you sit everybody down and you're like breaking the news to them as if you're telling them that like you're moving to fucking Zimbabwe and never going to see them again. I don't think it should be something like that. It should be just like assumed that your sexuality is fluid and whatever you want to be, you want to be. Like, not even want to be, whatever you are. Right? Like, I think the way that people do the gender neutral terms, we should have sexuality neutral. Not terms, but like that's how we should raise our children to be, sexuality neutral, and let them know from a very young age that whatever it is or whoever it is you fall in love with, if it's a guy one day or a girl the next, it doesn't matter. Because that's your sexuality and that's okay. I think that is very fucking important. And so my coming out experience wasn't really a coming out experience. It's funny. It's a funny story to tell, but my girl Aries asks, do you believe everyone in this world will experience trauma in one form or another? Yes. I don't know if you listen to a lot of like self-development stuff or even like I don't even know if this is used in like mental health stuff, but there's big T and little t. There's big trauma, which is like, and one is more severe than the other. The big T is more severe. It's definitely more traumatic, but nobody's better or worse for having one or the other or both, right? So big trauma would be sexual assault, a really detrimental car accident, something that really, really shakes you for life. And then little trauma would probably be, I don't even know. Let's see. What would little trauma be? I can't even think about it. Examples of little t trauma: emotional abuse, ongoing financial concerns, divorce, bullying, non-life threatening injuries and harassment. And then big trauma, big T trauma is, this is a good one. Okay. Oh yeah. This is in the DSM-5. PTSD trauma. It says big T trauma. DSM-5 defines PTSD trauma as any situation where one's life or bodily integrity is threatened. These are typically large T traumas: war, combat, persecution, natural disasters, sexual or physical abuse, serious accident, crime, death or loss of a loved one. So yeah, in that respect, just that, death or loss of a loved one, we all experience big T trauma. Absolutely. And we all will. Eventually. I mean, I hope it's not that detrimental. I hope it's nothing like that. But yeah, I do agree. I do believe that we all will and all have experienced some form of trauma, and now I'm thinking about my own trauma, like watching my grandmother pass away in front of my face and how traumatic that experience actually is. But regardless, domestic violence, child abuse, neglect. I've definitely dealt with big T trauma from a child. Major surgery, life-threatening illness, loss of career, and witnessing death. Wow, I got some big T trauma that I gotta work out. Good thing I'm in therapy. And then little T trauma, it says often doesn't lead to pure PTSD symptoms, but may cause trauma responses, including increased distress plus decreased quality of life. Little T trauma is interpersonal conflict, emotional abuse, dealt with that. Infidelity, dealt with that. Divorce, dealt with that. Legal trouble, financial insecurity, abrupt or extended relocation, shame or humiliation, feeling left out, bullying, ridicule, complex or developmental trauma, and parents with a psych diagnosis. I'm saving this. I think I might post this, actually. That was a really good question. I think we need to stop doubting our traumas, actually. Myself included. I didn't realize, I never used the term trauma or anything like that until being in therapy, when my therapist looked at me and kind of sideways and was like, that's a traumatic experience. You can't water that down. And I was watering down everything that I had been through, like being abused as a kid by my stepmother, and not having anybody there to really protect me from it. Verbal and, sometimes physical abuse. I never realized how much that shaped how I am and who I am as a person, but that's a whole nother episode for another time. To answer your question, yes, I do. I believe we all experience trauma. And then I think, what was your coming out experience? No, read that. Puerto Mexivi asks, would I date someone long distance? No, I would not. Maybe I would start talking to somebody long distance and possibly by like the rarest rarity start falling for them in some sort of way, or really like developing feelings. But the way that I develop feelings is not virtually. I really don't. It takes a lot, y'all. My friends are like, you need to open yourself up. I'm open to love. Like, I am ready and open for it. Here it is, right? Like, my heart is open to it, to new love, to whatever comes my way. I'm open. It's just, it takes a lot to really catch my eye. Like, I'm on that soulmate. I'm on that soulmate vibe. Like, I can tell, because I'm so intuitive, I can tell when a person is a soulmate or not. And if you're not a soulmate, keep it the fuck moving, really. Like, I can fuck you for a little time period. But it gets boring after a while if the feelings aren't involved. So it's a fleeting thing. So would I date somebody long distance if she was my soulmate and we really vibed on that level? Possibly, but it is the what's the word I'm looking for? The odds are not in favor of that. It's why I can't be on dating apps. And again, my friends roll their eyes, like we were just talking about it earlier. They want, like, I'm on Hinge and I'm talking to people on Hinge. I'm not interested though. Like, there's nobody interesting enough that's making me want to like go meet them. It's just something to pass the time, I guess. I don't even know why the fuck I'm on there, to be honest. I guess I'm just trying to like increase my odds of finding somebody. I don't know. But all my friends, like Dina from the Apothecary, looked at me yesterday. I went there to stop by and like talk about some podcast stuff. And she's sitting there and she's like, your problem is that you can walk outside right now and go literally be with anybody that you want. You just choose not to. And I'm like, yeah. What the fuck is the problem with that? I'm not interested. Fucking any pretty face, that's boring to me. I can do that. I could easily fucking do that right now. I could go into my DMs and find the prettiest girl that I know, meet up with her, fuck the shit out of her, and then go home. And I'd probably feel worse doing that than I feel right now. I don't feel lonely. I'm not missing out on anything. I know for a fact when my woman is meant to come, she will. Not coming that way. Like, I'll make that happen. But you know what I'm saying? When my woman is meant to be in my life, and the woman that I am meant to spend my life with, when I'm meant to find her, she will be there. I don't go seeking relationships. Relationships find me. Always. That's how it's always happened. Any single woman that I've ever fallen in love with, I was not looking. I was just living. And so, do I think that I could date somebody long distance? Yes, I probably could if all of the stars aligned. But the likelihood of it, no. That's just the realness. That's it though. That's what I got for y'all. I hope that was interesting enough. It was interesting for me. Those were like the best questions that I found. I've decided, before I end this episode though, I'm going to let you know what I've decided for episodes coming up that are just solo episodes with just me when I don't have a guest. I have a couple of guests that I will be having on. I don't know when I'll release those episodes, but stay tuned for that. But I've come to the conclusion that I would love to incorporate tarot into this podcast. And the way that I will be doing that is actually pretty interesting. I've never seen anybody do it before. Maybe they have. Maybe it's out there. I just haven't come across it. That's fine. I'm going to take a tarot deck. I'm going to shuffle the cards. I'm going to pull one card. And based on that one card, that is what we talk about. Not the card, but the theme of the card. This isn't a tarot podcast. This is a self-development podcast. So what I'm going to do is take the tarot, because you can easily use tarot for self-development. I'm going to pull a card. Let's say it's the 9 of Wands, which represents for me resiliency. I'm going to then talk about being resilient and how to be resilient and things like that. I'm gonna show y'all how tarot can help with self-development. It's not just a predictive tool. It is very good at predicting, but it's not just that. But how I will be incorporating when I start booking clients for coaching sessions and stuff like that, how I will be incorporating tarot into those sessions, because it's not going to be like a tarot reading. Tarot readings are, you ask me a question and I answer your question with predictions and let you know where the fuck you're at and what another person is feeling. That's a tarot reading. Using tarot in coaching sessions is different. It's I pull a card or 2 cards and we see how we can develop how can we focus on those areas of life, what needs to be worked out, what needs to be finagled with. And so what I want to start doing is showing you guys firsthand how I can do that. I don't have time right now to do that, so that will be starting next week or whenever the next solo episode is, so stay tuned for that. If y'all have any questions, feel free email me, tori@torifranco.com. If you have questions about coaching, questions about tarot, you want to just connect with me, you want to give insights into what topics you want to hear from me, anything like that, email me. I'm open to connecting. I love you guys very much. Check the description of this video on YouTube. For anything you need to know about me, go to my website, torifranco.com, for all of your Tori Franco needs. And that's that. I love you guys very much, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace out.